First, we go to Syria. President Barack Obama has not yet decided on U.S. military action in Syria, although he does say his administration has, quote, concluded President Bashar al-Assad used chemical weapons against civilians last week. But it's worth noting that intelligence officials are not so certain that the suspected chemical attack was carried out on Assad's orders, or even completely sure it was carried out by government forces at all. This is what Obama had to say yesterday.
Across the bow saying, stop doing this. That can have a positive impact on our national security over the long term.
U.S. Navy warships went into a holding pattern in the eastern Mediterranean as the politics and diplomacy of a cruise missile strike grew more complicated. In London, Prime Minister David Cameron submitted a motion to Parliament that would require the UN chemical weapons experts currently in Syria to complete their work before any vote authorizing British forces to take part in a strike.
Of course, there are reactions all around the world. On Thursday, United Nations inspectors headed to the suburb of Damascus for a third time, seeking more evidence of chemical attacks. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon told reporters that inspectors would complete their work on Friday. And in London, Prime Minister David Cameron bowed to pressure from the opposition Labour Party and to some within his own coalition who want to wait for the UN team's findings to give a more solid legal basis for any military action. Cameron's advisors could not contain their fury at the Labour's decision not to back military action. A government official even said this: Number 10 and the Foreign Office think Ed Miliband is a fucking cunt and a copper-bottomed shit. The French hate him now, and he's got no chance of building an alliance with the U.S. Democratic Party. Another accused Miliband of playing politics instead of considering the national interest. A few days ago, we'd heard a military strike was almost imminent and could happen as early as Thursday. Today, it seems like the U.S. and Britain are backpedaling. What do you make of this, and what are you hearing in terms of conversations in the region?
Well, look, I think everyone expects that it could happen at any minute. I mean, the reality is that despite the back and forth going on in Washington, despite the messaging that is being spread around through the press in the United States, there's a relatively clear sense here among people that at any minute these strikes could take place, and they don't necessarily have to be in very clear coordination with the messaging that's being made to the press. I mean, it's one of the sort of assumptions we like to draw that the president's going to somehow dictate to us what's going to happen, and then we'll see it follow more or less a pattern that we can predict things. But a lot of people thought it would be today. A lot of people are now saying, well, if it's not today and won't be Friday, because Friday is a religious day in the Muslim world, and then you've got the weekend, and then, maybe it'll be Tuesday. I have to say that I don't think a lot of people here are sitting around waiting, assuming it's going to be a week from now. I think people are pretty much making preparations as if it could be right now or tonight.
I'm sure you saw this story. It's on our front page here at Huffington Post. Donald Rumsfeld saying, Obama's administration has not justified Syria intervention. This is the headline right here. Sabrina, your reaction? I mean, has he justified it or not, and does it matter? I mean, is a threat imminent based on what you're hearing in D.C.?
I don't think at this point it really matters in terms of the actions that the administration is about to take. They've certainly shown that they're not going to back down, at least in terms of weighing and possibly taking some form of military action, even if it might be delayed. They seem unconcerned about the idea of seeking congressional approval and really making a robust case to the American public. But what they are going to do, of course, is issue that presentation today and possibly make public some of the evidence that they're using tying Bashar al-Assad to the chemical weapons use, although they have said that there's no quote-unquote smoking gun to tie the leader to the use of chemical weapons. So they're trying to lower expectations because they know, especially having learned the lessons from Iraq and having that shadow follow them around, that that they might not actually be able to make a solid enough case to the point that the U.S. public will feel comfortable with yet another military intervention, especially after just a couple of years ago, having seen the country get involved with respect to Libya. And Congress, too, being out on recess makes people uncomfortable. Speaker Boehner wrote a letter to the administration asking that the president explain clearly why a military intervention is necessary and why he's chosen to take this step now. He will be briefing lawmakers on the phone, and the administration officials will also continue to brief them in other ways. But with them not actually being here to have a debate and provide approval, certainly there's a lot of pushback.
This is not a great situation for Obama to be in, and he's kind of got to make the best choice of a series of really bad options. And I think the British Parliament today is not helping helping him one bit. And the question is, if the Brits decide that they can't do this or they don't want to do this or they're going to wait, will Obama then go it alone without British support and just rely on French and perhaps Turkish and Saudi support on this? And I think the longer this hangs out there, the harder it is for Obama. It's not something that once you get Congress in and start debating it, it just becomes too much of a mess. And, this is the president's purview is foreign policy. And Boehner was very clear in his letter when he sent it to the president that he's not asking for a vote on Congress. He's not even asking really for a debate. He's simply asking the president make himself clear to the American people and to Congress. And that, Boehner, frankly, with Libya had 3 different votes that he tried to get through. None of them passed. And so this isn't really a vote that he wants to take in Congress or a debate that he really wants to have. So I think
right.
It's very difficult politically in America to get everybody all on the same page.
Right, and we saw the latest poll, 25%, supporting intervention.